Hello and welcome to No Access Required. Do me a favour, if you're new here, do give us a thumbs up and a comment. It really would help the channel. So, Marathon. Were we right to save it? Yes, absolutely we were right to save it. Because what would we be left with otherwise? We'd be left with a marathon-shaped hole in gaming. What does that profit anybody? So, in the intervening period between the moment that Marathon died and was then magically resurrected, we've had all kinds of ups and downs. Lots and lots of speculation, which is what we like to do here on this channel. We like to speculate. We like to opine on various bits of information that come our way. Some of it factual, some of it not so factual. Because the internet is a place where opinions live. And, well, for what it's worth, this is mine. Marathon was worth saving. When it was released, it had the visual style of a postage stamp. It was very 2D. It was very bright. It was, oddly enough, too artificial for a game which dealt, conceptually at least, in artificiality. And it gave game developers a very salutary lesson in, well, you can push things, but maybe not too far. Because nobody knew what to expect from Marathon. And then when it was initially revealed, we all thought something doesn't feel quite right about it. Surface textures were flat and lifeless, as was the world that the game is set in. And whereas it might have made for a very bold illustration of the game in terms of it being a 2D picture, people just don't want to run around in those environments and spend hours there. And it turns out our fantasy has to have some realism attached to it, for us to be engaged at least enough to spend time there. The gameplay in the opening trailers was all a bit manufactured, and gamers being gamers, experienced in what they do, post-mortemed every visual piece of information that was available to them. The upshot of which was, well, Marathon just didn't quite cut it. So, the server slam has just happened, and I've been watching various people play the game, trying to get a temperature of what's going on. And frankly, I liked what I saw. I liked the updated visuals, the time to kill it being changed into a more favourable and even-handed version of its prior self, and the game itself looked just real enough to underpin the fantasy aspect of the visual feast that we are now playing in. The game's visual stylings really do appeal to me. I love the colours, I love the shapes, I love the fact that it's all just odd enough and unexplained enough to be enticing. But not everybody feels the same, it seems. The server slam has finished and we have to wait now till, I think it's March the 5th before the game releases proper. And the doommongers, commentators, pundits and various speculators like myself, we're all having our say. And this is my 2 pennies worth. The player numbers weren't great, it seems, but how many players does it take to keep a game alive? Especially one like this one, which is effectively a live service. We've seen various live service games survive and, in fact, thrive. They do quite well for themselves on relatively modest player numbers. And yet various commentators are stating that without the world playing the game is doomed. There just aren't enough players to sustain it, and I disagree entirely. Live service games are giving us something that we didn't really expect at the outset, and that is relatively small but passionate gaming communities that fight for the game, that champion the game, and that will keep a game alive. And that's all it takes. The player numbers over the game's life will fluctuate. They will go up and they will go down. If you look at The Division, for instance, the graph fluctuates. There is an overall player base, but the game really does have a life. It lives and it breathes. And we, the gamers who keep these games alive, are prepared for this. It's not a shock. And Bungie knows this too. When March the 5th rolls round, the hype for the game will effectively be dead. But not because the game isn't good, because they've had to go through a painful rebirth. We now know pretty much everything there is to know. And any surprises that do come, well, they're more than likely not going to be very surprising. I do hold out hope for a more fleshed out storyline, but, well, we'll see. and upon release, the game may not be exceptional, but it will be good. That seems to have been the temperature from everyone who's played it. Good game, not great. Some people saying the verge of greatness, but not exceptional. And it doesn't need to be exceptional because of the rebirth that it's had. We now know what we're getting. We're getting a good, solid, first-person shooter. And Bungie will do what it can to improve the game, live service requirements notwithstanding. I've said it before and I will say it again now. Live service is the death knell for many games. And Bungie can still snatch defeat from the jaws of a modest victory. And so, in closing, my opinion of this whole debacle has been that, frankly, it was required. I would rather see the game in this state where we are now than a dead game, than a hole where the game should have been. And whereas the game on release may not be exceptional, it stands every chance of growing into an exceptional game. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. And until next time, bye bye.